Okay, so welcome to this training for inventory management in Connect ERP. So let me start by sharing the screen. Okay, can you see my screen? Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right. So today we're going to talk about inventory management. Okay. Before we get into the system, as usual, let's go through the basics first. Okay. So, what is inventory management? Inventory management is simple, but the very simplest definition would be how we are going to store products into the physically in a location and how we are going to track its movement. Okay. So now in our ERP, we have uh, four layers or four levels of physical identification of a location. How do you physically identify a location? Can be defined in four ways. Okay, so or can be defined in four levels. I would say not four ways, but four levels. Okay, so every single time when you make a transaction, it has to navigate through these four levels, and it has to go to the bottommost level to identify where actually the product is stored. Okay. All right. So the fourth level, I'm just making multiple copies here. Right. So what are these four levels? All right. So let's look at this. So as you know, first of all, the first level would be nothing but okay, which is okay. Okay. So let's look at what is the four levels. So the first one is the company itself, or what we call as the organization. Okay. So the first level is the organization. Okay. The second level, which is the inner box, is nothing but what we call as a warehouse. Okay. So the inner within a warehouse, okay, uh, what can you have? You can have a locator. Okay. And the topmost one is of course always the client. All right. So we have a client, we have an organization, then we have a warehouse, and then we have a locator. Okay. Why is it circulated like this? That means one locator will belong to one warehouse only, and one warehouse can belong to one organization only, and one organization, as you all know, can belong only to one client. Okay. Now the question is, what does this mean in terms of business language? Okay, this is ERP language, but in business language, what does it mean? It's very simple. This is a company, or it could be a group of companies. Okay, so this could be a company or a group of companies. What is an organization? An organization can be legal or a management entity. Meaning to say, for example, in Connect Analytics is the company, but organization we have HQ, we have Maharashtra, right? So HQ and Maharashtra are not two legally different entities, they're the same entity only, but management wise we have split them. Okay. Generally, they will have not mandatory, yeah? Again I'm repeating. Generally, they will have their own GST registrations, which can be the same or it can be different. Okay, so that's what is the legal one. Oh, warehouse it can be a warehouse or it can be a storage location, or again, it can be a virtual warehouse also. So in our ERP, the beauty of our ERP is we do not differentiate a physical warehouse and a virtual warehouse. Both are treated exactly in the same manner. All right. So a warehouse is nothing but a physical warehouse, or within a warehouse, it could be a smaller storage location, or within that storage location, it could be a virtual warehouse also. Right. So generally, the GST information from the org will come to the warehouse. We do not generally maintain anything specific to the warehouse, but you do have the provision of doing that. Then comes locator. In business terms, this is nothing but a bin, okay? Or you can call it as a rack, or again, it could be a virtual classification. For example, in our case, we have in subcontracting, we have a locator concept. Also in consignment stock, also we use this concept of virtual locators. Okay, so a product is physically stored inside here only. Okay, so only when you go into an actual locator, you will be able to see the product in itself. All right. So no matter what is the transaction, whatever is the transaction, it will always be inside the locator only. All right. Okay. So this is the physical aspect of how the stock is located and how it is done. Now coming to the reporting perspective, of course, all our reports can be looked at locator wise, or you can look at warehouse wise. Most of our reporting tracking is always at warehouse level. There are a very few cases where you might want a data at organization level or client level, but they are nothing but just aggregation at this levels. Okay, the actual storage is at here only. All right. Now, in inventory management, why this is important, I'm telling you, is because when you go to the next step, that means where we are going to link the product to this physical location, there are certain terminologies and some things which will be different. Okay, so any doubts so far? Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, where we talk about primarily product and inventory. What are the key things about product and its inventory? Okay, so first of all, in the product master, only items, type of products, and that too only ones which are stocked equal to yes will be stored in physically. Okay, only they can be associated with the locator and so on and so forth. All right. Then the second important thing is what we call as ASI short form. The full form is attribute set instance. Right? Okay. Now, all product related information, okay, is there are a lot of properties inside the product master. I know that all of you are familiar with the properties, but I'm only focusing on those which are relevant for inventory. Now, after attributes, there's another very important property called UOM. Okay. Now, why this UOM is important is whatever UOM you specify in the product master, only that can be stored, only that UOM can be stored. Okay. Let me give you an example. Okay. So, for example, okay, a product can have multiple UOMs, right? We know that in our ERP, we allow multiple UOMs. So how is it handled? So how is multiple UOMs handled? Okay. So how multiple UOMs is handled is all non-storage UOM are converted to storage UAM when they are moved into a warehouse. Okay, so it means you can order in any UAM, you can receive in any UAM, you can ship out in any UAM, you can probably even issue also in any UAM. But physical storage, when it happens, the system will convert automatically all the non-storage UAMs, whatever you're giving in the transaction, into the storage UAM, and only then it will store. In case the system is not able to find this conversion, then system will throw an error saying that the UAM cannot be converted. So you need to maintain a UAM conversion. Okay, so that is where UAM conversion plays a very big role in my product in inventory. Okay, now there is another important concept which needs to be also addressed here, which is regarding to the value. Okay, so any inventory for product, there are two parts to it. One is the quantity itself, which I already said, it's in the storage UAM. When I'm saying value, some people call it as inventory cost, inventory value, etc., etc., etc. These are different. Okay. Now, iDempiere, why it is very flexible, or why do we say that it is really very, very flexible, is because unlike other ERPs, this quantity and value are not tightly integrated, they are loosely integrated. What do you mean by that? That means all quantity tracking you can do using material transactions. Okay, but these material transactions will not carry any value. That means it will not show you the value at all. Okay, rather for every movement that you make, the system generates a costing record in the back end, depending on what is your FIFO, LIFO policy that you have set, and also your costing setup in your system, product price, etc. So based on that, your material transactions each record a costing record, and the costing record affects the inventory value through accounts. So in accounting, when I go and look at my inventory value, I can see the inventory value, but I will not be able to see it product wise. If I go to material transactions, I can see the material by quantity, but I will not be able to see the value here. Okay. So how do we get a valuation report? So a valuation report is nothing but quantity multiplied by the costing record. Okay, at any level you can get the value. Okay, why I'm saying is very powerful is, again going back to the earlier slide, in some ERPs your valuation will be at warehouse level, which means at locator level you cannot see the value. Some are at organization level, so there are different options like that. But as far as Connect ERP is concerned, you, because the quantity and this one are loosely coupled, you can get the valuation at locator or warehouse or organization or at client level. Okay, revaluation of stocks is easy. Okay, so revaluation of stock is also possible. Recounting of stock, which means, which is what we call a physical inventory, we'll come to that in the transactions. Recounting of stock, that is also possible. So the recounting of stock can be done without affecting my valuation of the stock. Meaning to say, if my, for a particular material, the average cost is 100 rupees, okay, by recounting the stock, that 100 rupees will not become 110 rupees. The cost will always be 100 only, because the costing record will always be 100 only. Okay, it's just that my quantity is changed, so my value changes. Where does this value go? Again, there is an offsetting entry and all that, so that goes into accounting. So let's leave that. That's not part of today's this one. But this is a most important thing of how product and inventory are related. So in product, we have quantity, then the cost, and both of them are kept separately. And whenever you want, we can multiply it to get the valuation of the stock. Okay, this is item number 2 relating to product. Okay, now there is a third aspect to it. Okay, okay, the third aspect to it is the most important one. Not most important actually, but it is a very important one, which is related to this attribute set instance. Okay, so what does this mean? In business terms, there is something called as product specifications. Okay, so in a minute we will touch a lot of details about this. But when I say product specification, for example, if you take your mobile phone has let's say Android 10 operating system, octa-core processor, 8 GB memory, etc., etc., etc. Right? So these are all specifications of a product. Where can these specifications be stored? And why is it important for inventory? It is important for inventory because you might want to know, okay, how many phones are there which are using Octa 8 processor, for example. Okay, it could be across different models, but I want to know the whole sum. So these kind of things for you to get, you need to have a product specification. Okay, so how is product specification embedded? Let us see. Next thing is, as you all know, for any product tracking, what you need is a serial number. Okay, so how is serial number tracked to product inventory? We will see that also in some time. Okay, but just to cue, all of this in other ERPs are handled differently. For us, we are handling it during a very simple and a unified system. Okay, then some people might want to have lot number. Okay, now can anyone tell me what is the difference between a serial number and a lot number? Selvaraj? What is the difference between a serial number and a lot number?
Sir, serial number is individual part வந்து அதனுடைய serial number வரும் சார். Lot number வந்து batch வர மாதிரி வரும் சார்.
Yeah, so lot number is otherwise also called as batch. Okay, so serial number is tracked quantity by quantity. It means one serial number ideally is equal to one quantity. One lot number can have multiple quantities. Okay, all right. Then there is something called as a have you heard of these terms? Expiry date, guarantee date. Yeah, okay. So for example, if you're going to buy a food item, the food item will have an expiry date, right? Now this expiry date can either be linked to a lot number or it can be linked to a serial number also, or it may not be linked also, it depends. So for example, in a batch, if you're for example producing 2 flavors of ice cream, okay, it is possible that one flavor of ice cream will last for 3 days, one flavor of ice cream will last only for 2 days. So it could be product specific also. All right. Then the third one is this is very not important actually, but it's important to know that you have serial number, lot number, expiry date, guarantee date, warranty date, etc. But there are other items which we call as attributes. For example, things like color, okay, size, then a lot of things like that. Okay, normally you might have heard of this term called SKU. Have you heard of this term? It's called stock keeping unit. Okay, now SKU is a very loosely used term. All right, so stock keeping unit basically it means that what is the specification or attribute of your storage. Okay. For example, the famous example always given is car. Okay. So you have, for example, okay, Rajkumar, what car do you have? You have a Hyundai.
Etios GD.
You have an Etios GD, right? Okay. So now you have an Etios GD. That's a car model. All right. Now, when I'm taking inventory of the car, will I just take how many Etios JDs are there, or will I take how many Etios JDs? Forget the variant. Let's say even the variant is included inside the model, huh? But that variant will have 10 colors, right? But all the 10 colors will have the same model name, correct? So when I go to inventory, I need to see how many white, how many black, how many silver, how many sport red, etc., etc. But as overall, also I will want to see how many total Etios I have in my garage, right? So here the model Etios JD, that model is the product, but the stock keeping unit is actually at the color level. All right. Sometimes it's vice versa also. Okay, let me tell you that the stock keeping unit can be Etios JD, and then the actual model can be in the color also. So both ways is possible. All right. So all of these features are integral part of any inventory management when it comes to products. So any software, when you have a product, all these attributes need to be filled in for that product to say, okay, now we have a full-fledged inventory system. That will help you to track goods properly, find fast-moving goods, slow-moving items. All these analysis are possible based on these fundamentals only. Okay, and the beauty of our ERP is all of this is combined into what we call as attribute set instance. Okay. So in one ASI, okay, all right. So in one object call attribute set instance, all of this is covered. Okay. So we are going to see this also in detail, that how we are going to use attribute set instance to map all of this. Okay. Now, why I say our ERP is flexible, because this attribute set instance is optional, which means you can track all the, because for example, if you are going to let's say track nuts, the same car example, there is a 4-inch nut. The 4-inch nut will not have all these specifications. A 4-inch nut is just a 4-inch nut, it's just a model number, it has only one SKU, right? You don't need to go through all this detail. You can skip this, which means this is optional. Okay, it's not mandatory, it is optional, which means you have an option of doing inventory at a high level, or you can go down and go to a very detailed level. Okay, any questions so far? Any questions or doubts, anyone? No. Okay. So let me go to the next one. Now, okay, how is movement of goods tracked? Okay. So, for example, so we said this is the locator. All right. So this is a simple so we have a locator here. All right. So physically, just imagine what will happen, right? So physically, what will happen? Goods will come. So let's say, okay. So goods will come in. All right. Then the goods will get stored over here, and then they will move out. Right? It's quite simple. There's no big magic and all to this, right? Okay. So now, when fundamentally the movement of goods means how material comes into a locator and how material goes out. Okay. Now, this is where you need to be a little bit careful and also understand some things which are specific to Connect ERP. Okay. First thing is, we'll put all the transactions which are coming in here and all the transactions which are going out here, and how to track them we will see, because these transactions, of course, we're not going to go into detail because that's all individual modules by itself, but centrally how does this work. Okay, so first, all of this is what we call as sales transactions, which means, if you remember, we have something called as is SO, right? TRX is SO transaction. That means whenever material goes out from a locator, it's called as a sales transaction. Vis-a-vis, again, if you call this as not a sales transaction, that means all these are purchase transactions, all right? Okay. Now, based on all the modules you know, I think by now you will understand where I'm going with this. Understand one thing, that I'm only going to write those transactions in which there is physical movement of goods out. Okay, so the first one is shipment. Okay, all right. There is a surprising element here, but we will come to that later. Okay, so shipment is a common one, everyone knows that. All right, then what is the other transactions which take material away from locator? Production issue. That means you're issuing material to production, so it goes out. All right. Okay. Then the other transaction would be vendor return. So you may like, oh, what is vendor? So like I said, these, when I say sales transaction, doesn't mean all these actually sales. There is a term called is SOTRX in our ERP, which basically indicates whether it's outgoing or incoming. Okay, so SO transaction equal to Y means all these are outgoing transactions. Okay, that's all. All right, so that's one is then vendor return. Then we have something called as internal inventory, right? So this is used to book consumption of materials, which is non-production materials like paint. Accidentally you do some things. So for these kind of things, you might want to use the internal inventory. Okay. Same time, there is another transaction called physical inventory. This is basically for recount of inventory. So recount of inventory is a bit weird because using recount, you can increase or you can decrease. Decrease means goes out, increase means goes up. All right. Okay. So all of these are outgoing transactions. Similarly, if we come here, let's look at the incoming transactions. So I'll start with the obvious ones. So first you have material receipt, which is one way. Then you have production receipt, that means you're producing the material, so it is coming in. Or you have customer return, which is bringing back the material. Then we have physical inventory, which also you can use. So physical inventory is on both sides. It is obvious because physical inventory can use to increase stock as well as decrease stock. Okay, so These are the only, if you look at this, the whole of inventory management, these are the only transactions which can be used to actually physically move goods from one place to another. Am I missing any transaction here? Silvraj, Soumya, Prashant, am I missing any transaction here? Hello, guys. The sales team also can tell me if I'm missing any transaction here. Yes?
ISKB, we have covered.
Everything is covered?
Yeah.
Yes.
Soumya, Prashant?
Transaction.
Soumya, Prashant, you guys are there? Okay. There is some transactions I'm missing. The most important transaction is inventory move. Okay. So inventory move, again, it's like physical inventory, but inventory move basically moves the stock from one warehouse to another warehouse and to another locator. All right. So from one locator to another locator also is called as a inventory move, physically moving goods from one place to another. So it can be incoming or outgoing as well. Okay. Any other transaction?
Goods inward, outward.
Sorry?
Inward, outward.
What inward, outward?
Okay, shipment.
There is still one more transaction which is missing.
Sir, subcontracting inward outward.
Subcontracting inward outward, there is no actual transaction, Rishikesh. The actual transaction that is happening in the back end is inventory move.
Okay.
Okay. So yes, the front end is subcontracting movement document, but the back end, the physical document that is doing the transaction is inventory move.
Okay.
Okay. But still there is one more transaction which I'm missing here. And that is all, okay, by the way, all these are standard, which is available in our standard ident here. But there is one transaction which we have created which affects material, but it's not listed here. Anybody? Nobody? Okay. We have a window called material convert.
Material conversion.
Okay, so material conversion also. Okay, so both inventory move and material conversion will do the incoming and outgoing the same transaction, meaning to say inventory move moves material from one locator to another locator, whereas material convert moves the stock and the cost from one product to another product. Okay, so one product to another product in the same location is called material convert or conversion. And inventory move is same product, one locator to another locator. All right. Okay. So these are all the actual physical transactions of how things happen. So I'm not going to go into how these transactions work. So basically, just assume that these transactions bring in stock into a locator and take away stock out of a locator. Okay. But within the locator itself, okay, there are two important aspects that need to be addressed. Okay, or actually, not addressed actually, but there are two key items using which the locator identifies stock. Okay, apart from the product, of course. One is the ASI, and one is what we call as the date material policy. This is a bit very confusing for newcomers in our ERP because of the nature of how our ERP works. Okay, so this ASI and date material policy drive how a locator is storing the information. The date material policy generally, okay, for all incoming transactions, please note this very carefully. All date material policy for incoming transactions will be based on the date of these documents. Okay, when you did the material receipt, when the production receipt happened, that is the primary motive of how date material policy works. Okay, for outgoing transaction, it's not based on the date of the shipment. It will check the locator for the earliest date material policy or the latest based on, we have two methods, FIFO and LIFO, that is used to determine whether to pick up the earlier stock or whether to pick up the later stock. Okay, so the FIFO and LIFO is the one that is determined by the date material policy. So whenever you go to any locator, I'll show you in the system also, you will always find this field called date material policy. Okay, some people mistake it to be date of stock. No, that's not what it means. It doesn't mean that as on that date the stock is there. No, it just indicates that when did that stock come into that locator. Okay, it is something like a timestamp. So when that stock came into the locator is determined using the date material policy, and when it goes out, it picks up the earliest or the latest record based on FIFO or LIFO. First in, first out, last in, first out. Okay, is this clear? All right. Now, Connect ERP is one of those ERPs which allows negative inventory. Okay, so at the warehouse level, you can determine whether a warehouse will allow negative inventory or not. Okay, now what does negative inventory mean? It's very simple. Going back to the same diagram, that means before stock comes in, I'm taking stock out. Okay, for example, we are saying that okay, in a production, in a complicated situation, the sales team needs to do the invoicing first. They do need to do invoicing, so they need to do the shipment. They need to raise e-way, etc. So they're doing the shipment first. Later, production will do the production receipt for the same item, and then it will compensate. Okay, so if we have that situation, okay, that means what happens? The sales transaction is executed first. That means the production issue or the shipment happens first. So the locator becomes negative. That means from 0, assume you're just starting fresh. So it is 0. You ship out 10 items, it becomes minus 10. Okay. So when it becomes minus 10, then when the production receipt comes in, then it will automatically zeroize the shipment. Okay. How does it work? Let me just give you a simple table here. Okay. All right. So first, let's say I'm doing shipment on 01/10/2020. Okay. All right. And I'm doing it for a quantity of 10. Right. Now, what the system will do in the locator is, and let's say, okay, let's say we are taking serial number equal to 0. So we're not having any serial number. So the ASI is equal to 0. So what it will do is, in the system, it will put -10 against date of 2020 and ASI 0. Okay. So this is how the locator will store the record. Right. Now I come here, I do a production receipt. Okay. And the policy is set to last in, first out. Okay. So on the 5th of October, I do a production of 20. Okay. Now, can you tell me how the locator will get updated? Based on what I've told you now? No one?
-10.
-10. Okay. This is outgoing, this is incoming. So how will the locator get updated? Selvaraj, Soumya, Prashant, nobody?
Plus 20, sir. -10 plus 20.
So basically you're saying it will become 10.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is the date material policy?
05/10/2000.
How? How will this happen? Because what happened? Because you see, that means this is the number of records. So now what happened to this record? This record deleted, existing, what happens? What the system will do is the system will update the first record. Okay, it will make it 0 and it will put like this. Okay, and then it will, so basically instead of one record, now it's become 2 records, whereby this 20 offsets this 10 and then becomes like this. Okay, so what happens is, whether you have negative inventory or not, whenever there's incoming quantity into the locator, it will first search for the negative value, if at all any exists. If the negative exists, it will try to make it positive. And if there is an amount left, quantity left after that, then it will create a new record based on the date material policy number. Okay. So here, since we already have 0, 1, 10, 20, 20, it has -10. So it will zeroize this first, which is plus 10, which in a way is always correct. But then the remaining 10 will get created using a new date material policy record with 0, 5, 10, 20, 20. Is this clear? Okay. So this is how the system does. And after this, okay. So let's say we have one more production receipt on 06. Okay. So we have another 5. So now what system will do? It will add a new record to 06, 10, 20, 20, 0. Okay. But now when the next shipment happens, that's where the whole story will change now. Now the shipment is happening on 10, 10, 20, 20. I want to ship out, let's say, 3 items. Now what the system will do is, it, unlike last time when it just put -10 with the same date, now I have stock available, right? So now what the system will do is, it will go and check for whether it is a FIFO or a LIFO. Okay. So based on FIFO or LIFO, then based on the policy, of course, then what it will do, whether it needs to pick up from here or here, the system will automatically determine, and then it will reduce that number, but the date material policy will always be there. Okay, is this clear? I'll tell you how to look at all of this in the system, but when I look into the system, you will not be able to understand this. That is why I'm showing it to you now. Is it clear? Okay. Now let's quickly go into the system. Okay. So in the system, before we go into anywhere else, first let's look at how a attribute set, which is the source for attribute set instance, is created. So an attribute set, when you go to create an attribute set, if you remember this slide here, I talked about all of this, right? Serial number, etc., etc. All these are directly embedded into a attribute set. Okay, so you can have any number of attribute sets, but one product, of course, can belong to only one attribute set. Okay, so this one has lot, but no serial number. So for the lot, we have something called as lot control. This is nothing but a number range system. Okay, so how the lot number should be given? Should there be a prefix? Should there be a suffix? What is the start number? What is the increment number? What is the current next number? All of this you can specify. Based on this, the lot number will get generated. Then additionally, the second one is serial number. So serial number also same. You have serial number control, which is again nothing but a serial numbering system. You can have a start number, an increment number, a number. So it's very flexible to do this. Okay. But additionally, what is more important is you can also specify something called as a guarantee date. Okay. Now, guarantee date, I told you, is nothing but whether you want to put it as an expiry date also can, as a warranty date also can. Basically, this good, when it comes in, till which date is it good? I mean, till which date it can be used. Okay. You can make it mandatory. Okay. So all of this has mandatory options, whether you want to make it mandatory or optional. Okay. So basically what system will do is, if you say, for example, for a particular product, let's say bread, the default guarantee date is 30 days after you receive it. So you just put 30 days here. System automatically, whenever you do the material receipt, it will automatically generate this guarantee date and put it into the attribute set. Okay. Similarly, you have a mandatory setting for the same. You can set it. This option is nice, where this just now we talked about, right? This material date material policy. This record here, right? This policy, right? So this date, normally, like I told you, it will pick up from the transaction itself. But in your case, suppose if I want to pick it up from this date, you can say use guarantee date for material policy. Okay. Then the most important one is this one, okay, which is called mandatory type. That means, like I said, attribute set instance need not be made mandatory. Okay, you can make it either mandatory, or you can say when shipping. What does this always mandatory and shipping mean? Is nothing but this one. That means ASI is mandatory while coming in and going out. That is always mandatory. Or the ASI is mandatory only while going out. While coming in, we don't bother. Okay, so that's what is the setting for here. So that one also can be set. The other part, okay, which is where our ERP kind of stands apart from most of the other ERPs in the market, is this particular option, which is called attribute use. Meaning to say that all these specifications, okay, attributes, all of this can also be tied to the attribute set instance itself. Okay, that means you don't have to go to two places to enter serial number in one window and go and put the properties in one window. No, not required. You can do it together in a single window, which is by mapping the attribute set to attributes. So what are attributes? An attribute literally can be anything. Okay, there are three types, of four types actually. An attribute can be a date. So you can say, for example, any date, warranty date, start date, end date, good for date, which is not available in the standard attribute set. You can use it here. List is prefixed values like color. You can have a drop-down list. Okay, this is white, yellow, blue, etc. So that is list. Number is it will only take number. It won't take text. String will take anything. Okay, so you can define any of these attributes and assign a lot of attributes to this attribute set. Okay, now when you create this attribute set and assign attributes, each attribute will have one option called instance. Okay, and a mandatory option. That means when you go, you have to mandatorily fill this. So an instance attribute means it is this particular value is only effective inside the locator. That means here, where I'm putting 0, 0, 0, right? That means only for the quantity which is inside the locator, this attribute will apply. Okay, that means when I define the product, I don't need to define this attribute. Only when I move the product, I need to define this attribute. Okay, that's what this means. So even in one attribute set, you can have a combination. You can have multiple ones which are instance and non-instance. So even if one of these is instance, this will become an instance attribute here. So what do I mean by all of this and how does it fit in? So where does this come into picture? First, let's take a product. So I said there's a product called NTML_CB. It's a raw material. It is stocked. It's an item. So all the three conditions are fulfilled. It has a UIM called each. Now here you can assign an attribute set. Okay. So this particular one, they've attached an attribute set called fiber optics. Okay. Now here next to the attribute set, you will have a window to specify attribute set instance. So this is where the attribute instance will be. Now this I'm defining in the master. So it's called as a static instance. That means this has nothing to do with stock. Okay. Whether it has a stock or not, this value will be there. So if I click on this, it says no product attribute. That means there is nothing which is static, all are instance. Okay, we'll see what that means in a minute. Now, if you look at this, there's a tab called located at. That means which organization, which locator, what is the quantity that is there. Okay, so in all of this, we see there's different date material policy. There's a different attribute set instance, and that one you can see the ordered quantity, on hand quantity, etc. All right. Now, let us go to simple. Let me do a very simple transaction first, and then based on the transaction, I will tell you how to track cost and everything. Okay. So first thing is, does this have any on hand quantity? No, it does not have any. Okay, so this one has an on-hand quantity. So this is this particular product. So if you see here in the main locator, I have 6 quantities. Okay, let's see what happens when I do an inventory move. So I'm going to do an inventory move transaction. I'm going to move the inventory from one locator to another. So okay, I leave all of this as it is. I don't do anything here. I just go to the movement line. And I say this material okay, so because of the price list, this is not a sales material, this is a purchase material. So okay, so there's no price list here, no problem. So I'll just go and change it there. Okay, the demo server is a bit slow today. No why. Okay, so I select this. Okay, so now I'm going to move this from the main locator. Okay, so the main locator, I'm moving it to another main locator, which is main locator discrete. Okay. So just moving from one locator to another, and out of the 6 quantity, I'm just going to move 2 quantities, right? Now, interesting enough that when I do this, okay, I have specified the quantity, but I have not specified the serial number. Which serial number do I want to move? Okay, so to do that, you can click an attribute set instance button here. Now, if you see it's giving me the values, okay, so now it tells me whether I can create a new record or I can select an existing one. So if I select a new record, you see the values for the attributes, they will be in a drop-down fashion because all these attributes are defined as drop-down, which I can select and create a new serial number here, okay? But instead of that, I want to, because I'm moving the stock, I have to choose an existing one. So I'm choosing an existing one, and I'm seeing that the one which has stock does not have attribute set instance, so it's okay, no problem. I click OK. So I've come to attribute set instance, and I have selected that particular, because that there's a 0 attribute set instance, there's no serial number. So even though if I select this is 0 here, nothing is there. So nothing is coming over here. All right. Now, okay, let me do this transaction. Then let me just repeat this for you again. So I'm just saving this. Okay. And now I'm going here and I'm going to complete this document. Right? So when I completed this document, the 2 quantities should have moved. So I go back here. Before refreshing, I would just want you to note that the material policy is 11/3/2020. The on-hand quantity is 6. Now, when I refresh, the on-hand quantity for 11/3 in discrete has become 2. Why? Because it has gone out from here, from the main locator, it has gone to the discrete locator. Okay. Now, I'm going to attempt the same thing. I'm going to move 2 more. But what I'm going to do is, I am not going to this time, I am not going to move without attribute set instance. I'm going to select a serial number. So let's see what happens. Okay, so okay, and I am going to move this from main locator again to the main locator discrete, right? And this time I'm going to put a serial number. I'm going to generate a serial number. So let's say I put cable type SDX new. So there's a new serial number that has come. Okay, and I click OK. So now if you see, there is a serial number that has got generated over here. So now I save this. I go here. I go to document action. Go to complete. Okay, so now it got completed. So let me go over here. So now this is 4. Again, 2 has to reduce from here. So let me refresh. Okay, so if you see here, this 4 is the same. Okay, so what happened? Why there is no stock movement? Oh, okay. Okay. So I'm going to take a grid view because there are 1,000 plus records. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sort it based on hand quantity. Okay. So if you see here, so there is a -1 quantity, okay, of our inventory move. So let's look at our attribute set instance name. It is 1920. So this, okay, so 1920, there is a -1 here. And there is a lot of other on-hand quantity that is added over here, right? Okay. So can you tell me why in the locator it became -1? Because for this attribute set instance, there was no stock, right? So it had to find the stock. Since it didn't find one, it did a -1. Okay. So this is how your inventory locator up down works. Now, what is important in inventory is, okay, all this is fine. I gave you a lot of theory. I told you how it works, and I'm telling you how it works here. But from a customer perspective, when you're going to show a demo, what are you going to show? Okay, so basically, the key windows that we are going to show is very simple. First, what anybody would like to know, what is my inventory report? What is my stock? Okay, so I go to my inventory report window. So here in the product tab, I can put the product. Okay, and then I can click display. So this will tell me, see, I have further selections of category or warehouse. So in one warehouse, I can look at all the products and the quantity, or I can look at a product, all right, and all warehouses, what is the stock, or I can look at one warehouse and I can say in one warehouse, what is the stock. So if it is display, so it will show me in this locator, what is the warehouse. In locator A, if I want to see what is the stock, it will show me, all right. So at any of those levels which I showed you, you will be able to see the stock over here. And most importantly, you will also be able to see by serial number, okay. So if I say I want to see by serial number, and if I click display, it will show me all the serial numbers, and serial number wise, it will give me the report. All right. So this is the -1 that we took out from the current window. All right. Okay. Any doubts here? So this is the stock report. Always understand that the stock report, although I have given a date here, this date does not mean anything, which means to say if I say as of 12th, I click display, it will remove based on material policy only. Okay. It technically may or may not give you the stock as of that date, because this is a bit tricky because of how the negative inventory works. Okay. So, but yes, although we have given a date here, all right. So it does in a way try to show you the record based on the stock, but not be accurate. Okay. Second is, okay, this is the stock report. Now I want to see what are the transactions that took place. Okay, so like I told you, right, the in move, basically this one, all of this, what is the in, what is the out, if I want to see, then I go to a separate form which is called material transactions. Okay, so material transactions will tell you for a particular product. Okay, this one does not have warehouse. Okay, so they're not selected here. So let's say if I go for manufacturing discrete. Okay, so I check manufacturing discrete, check this product. Right. So here, let's say for example, from yesterday to today, what are all the incoming and outgoing that happen? If I refresh, it will. So if you see here, movement from, movement to. Movement to means incoming. Movement from is outgoing. It will tell you the organization, what is the locator, what is the attribute set instance, if at all there was any, and also it will give you the document number also. Okay, so if you see here, all the documents that are mentioned over here will be listed over here also. So shipment, physical inventory, this is production, movement line, project issue, consignment, material conversion. Okay, so here if you look at this, let's say, okay, this one, from where did this -1 come from? So you can just select this and click on zoom. It will take me to the document from which I post. So this is the document which we just posted. So there's a quantity of 1. We put the attribute set instance. So if you look at this one, so this is the document, all right? So it automatically will zoom you to the document. It will give you the movement types here. So this is all inventory movement. So the inventory movement to, from and to. But let's say if I'm going to take something like, for example, CPU. Okay. And if I'm going to take from the 1st of this month till today, what are the transactions? Okay, so there's no transactions. Organization empty. So we leave organization empty. This is for the whole client. It will give me the CPU. Okay. So you will be able to see. Okay, so has there ever been any transaction? Okay, so from August till now, if I see there are 2 transactions. So both are customer shipment. That means stock has gone out, but nothing has come in. And if I want to zoom to that, I can click on this and select zoom. So it will zoom me to that particular document. So this is the shipment document which was created. Okay. All right. Okay. So this is how you look at all the material movement transactions. Now, like I said, whenever a particular document is posted, the quantity is done separately. I told you there's a costing record also, right? So if you look at the posted value in the document, it will give you the financial impact. So if you see here, the value is debited from one account and credited in another account for this product, which is stock in hand, which is the stock account or the stock value. Now, how did it know it is 5680? If you go to the product itself, which is here. Okay. So if I go to the product, right? Then if you see here, there will be a cost tab, which will give us the costing. So can you see the current cost price is 5680. So this is the cost at which it has taken it. Okay. And also here, if you see, it will give you what is the total current quantity and what is the accumulated amount. So this is just a multiplication of this and this. All right. So the cost record is where we have a lot of details being stored. So if you further investigate into this, you can look at the history of cost, up, down, etc., etc. All of that will be stored in the cost detailed report, which you can also get from here. Okay, so there is a product cost detailed report. So in that product cost detailed report, so let's say if for this particular product, okay, it's taking some time. I think today the server is slow, so it's taking some time to execute this report. So basically, whatever is the breakup for that 5680, you should be able to see it over here. Okay, so if you see here, at various points of time, what is the amount, what is the cost element, and what is the cost, all of that details will be displayed over here. So if you see here, the standard cost is 165, then it has now come up to 5680. Probably, I think they would have made higher purchases. So all of this individually also you'll be able to analyze. Now, this template has not been formatted, so I'm getting a lot of unwanted details. But of course, you can format it to give you a more detailed or a more crisp report as to how you like this report. Okay, so this report can be customized to give you a more detailed or a crisper report. The same way, there are a lot of costing reports which are based on this. There's a cost summary, there's the product cost, there's the product costing report. Similarly, for inventory, there is an inventory valuation report and there's an inventory in process report. So the inventory valuation report again will give you the same statistics. For example, if I want to know in my main warehouse, in my currency, if I'm evaluating my stock at purchase price, then as of today, what would be the standard costing based? So I'm using the standard costing as my reference. So for this particular warehouse, it will calculate all the stock values and then it will give it to me in a single report. So this is what I told you, right? The quantity is separate, the costing is separate. It will multiply and then it will give me here. So it will give me the list price, the on-hand quantity, the PO price, the standard cost and the standard cost value, the standard price, the valuation, etc., etc. All right. So a detailed cost analysis can be done based on this particular report. So it will give you in depth all the details of cost, price, valuation according to cost, valuation according to price, what is the standard cost, etc., etc. Okay. So this is the inventory management portion for you. So you can look at these reports, you can look at all these transactions. This is something which most of the companies would be interested in. But for this, the costing at every level is very, very important. Okay. Now, any doubts so far? Hello? Hello, you guys there? I'm not even sure whether you guys are there. Under ask for response, there's no response at all.
No, okay.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Now, before we close, there's another thing about inventory. So in inventory, whatever we've been talking of as of now is called as the on-hand quantity, which is this. Okay. So we have the on-hand quantity. All right. But but there is something called as reserved quantity and ordered quantity and available quantity, right? This is called ATP, available to promise. So what is this? So this is what is the physical stock. That means that is what is there in the locator. Okay. This is not there in the locator, but you need to understand what this is. It's very simple actually to understand. You see all these transactions here, right, which are going to bring in stock, and these are the transactions which are going to take away the stock. All right. Now, material receipt. Is a material receipt created directly, or is there a preceding document? Hello? You guys can hear me or not? Material receipt is
Yes.
the final document, or is there a document before material receipt? Is there a window before material receipt?
No.
There is no document. So when you want to do, you go do a material receipt directly. When you want to buy from a vendor,
No, sir.
then what? Then you tell me, no, you think, no, what is the document before material receipt?
Before that, we have purchase acquisition and purchase order.
So you have purchase acquisition, purchase order. What is the before document before shipment?
Sales order.
Sales.
Sales order. Okay. What is the document before production issue?
Manufacturing order.
Manufacturing order, exactly, right? So what happens? Yeah. So what happens is these transactions are the physical transactions. That means these bring stock into the locator. This takes stock away from the locator. Okay. But these documents, before creating these documents, you create other document which indicates that you're going to do a receipt later on, which indicates you're going to do shipment later on, right? So those are like reservations. Okay. It's like how you book a ticket. So you book a ticket in a train, you reserve your ticket, right? But only on that day of the train, you will go and physically board the train. Similarly, whenever you create a purchase order, you're telling the system that I have placed a purchase order, so I am going to get a material receipt, right? So until the material receipt happens, how will the system know? How will you know that so much material is supposed to be incoming? You can go to the PO and find out. But otherwise, you can find that in what we call as the ordered quantity. So ordered quantity is nothing but whatever is the quantity that is ordered and waiting to come into the locator. Okay? Understood? That means you may make a PO, it will put it in the order quantity, but there won't be anything in the locator. It's just a indicator and inventory saying that this is going to come in. When I do a material receipt, it will bring the physical quantity and it will reverse the ordered quantity. Okay. Similarly, what we take out or what we are going to take out is called as the reserved quantity. Reserved quantity means this much of quantity I'm going to take out. Okay. So if there's a shipment, that means shipment I'm going to take out. Production issue, I do a production order, that means I'm going to require so much of raw material. So it's like blocking the stock. If that doesn't physically block the stock, it just creates a reservation. So this record is called as the reserved quantity. Okay, ordered quantity is incoming reservation, reserved quantity is outgoing reservation, and available to promise or available quantity is nothing but reserved quantity minus on-hand quantity. Okay, now again, here there might be some confusion because in some companies, what available quantity means is that it is nothing but available quantity in some companies is nothing but reserved on hand plus ordered minus reserved. Okay, but in Connect ERP, the standard we are following is on hand minus reserved quantity is the available quantity. That's called available to promise. That means If somebody's coming and asking you, okay, I need LCSM PGT, I need 10 numbers. You can't look at the stock and say, oh, I have 3, oh, you can take 3. No, you have 3, but somebody has already reserved 94. That means there's 91 shortage. Okay, what the basically means is you have a stock of 3, but somebody already put a sale order for 94. So which means they're going to consume this 3 and they'll be short of 91. So you need to bring in 91. But if I look at this report, I know, okay, I have already ordered 984, so it might be coming together. All right. So this is how anybody will look at inventory management: on-hand quantity, reserved quantity, ordered quantity, and available to promise. So this kind of visibility is there. So when somebody says, I want to do tracking, today I think Rajkumar, you gave me a requirement, right? Somebody wants to do tracking across the shop floor. Across the shop floor is nothing but tracking like this. I just put the product, I can see what is the level of information I have, okay, or where it is, which locator it is. So in the shop floor, in which part of the shop floor is it? Is it reserved already, or is it pending, etc., etc. Okay. If you want to look at it by serial number, again, of course, you can look at it by serial number. That also will give you a history. And also, we have a tracking report which tracks the same thing. Okay, so that's not it coming. We have FG tracking report, which will track from the life cycle of the product, where when it came in, when it went out, where is it, where all it is there, etc., etc. Okay, so for example, for that kind of tracking, you can look at material transaction also. So, for example, let me just show you. I take this particular item, I put it here. Okay, so in a material transaction, I can track okay, and I can say, okay, what are the attribute set instance I want to track? I want to track okay, so for example, I want to track this ASI. So I want to know all the history about this ASI. So I remove the dates. So I want to know when it was created, who created it, etc. So I can say, okay, on this date, it came in from one warehouse to another warehouse. Like this, not just for this ASI, any ASI, I'll do it. So this is called material tracking. So if I give a particular serial number, then I can track the entire history of that material, which day, when it came in, through which transaction it came in, through which transaction it's going out, so on and so forth, right? So it is a very detailed level of tracking that is available inside the system. Okay, so we can say, okay, this one came through material receipt. It was received on 7/9, and who created this transaction? You can just zoom to it and then go and find out who created the transaction. Okay, so this is the level of tracking that you can do inside from this. So for example, this came in through purchase order. So this was created by Harish Prabhu on 7th September against this purchase order. So I go to the purchase order. Okay, so this is the purchase order against General Industries. So this is how through this PO they have imported this particular material. So that level of tracking is possible using the system, using material transaction. So, but you have to use attribute set instance a bit very effectively, if I would say. All right. So similarly, if I go to purchase orders, sometimes you can look at other details also, like when this purchase order was there. If there's any amendment report, then you can take amendment reports. So like that, you can keep on linking from one document to another and then going backward and forward. All right. So this is how inventory management, all the windows, all the transactions you can see inside the system. So let me stop recording now.